Have you ever been ill, maybe with a fever, and your brain ended up feeling so foggy, it almost felt like your brain was in the mud, so to speak. You just couldn't think clearly. That's how it may feel to victims who are living with their abusers' crazy-making behaviors day in and day out. It's also called gaslighting. But for the purpose of the post today, we're going to be calling it crazy-making, and this is the abuse behavior I'll be defining and explaining in the post today. So the mud on the brain from this crazy-making behavior becomes so thick that victims get confused. They often can no longer see the truth or the reality of what's really happening. And this is the strategy, this is the goal of the abuser, to totally throw them off in order to, again, obtain and maintain power and control over their partner. We're going to talk about this behavior in great detail. So hold on to your seats because crazy-making plays out in so many different ways. But first, this is Truth and Heart Unfiltered with Pam Glenn, talking about relationship abuse and defining the abuse behaviors one post at a time. I always begin with a short warning because the content of these posts does include topics of trauma. If this is triggering for anyone, please turn the video off, and as always, please take very good care of yourself. Now let's look at the first part of crazy-making, and there are three aspects to this first part. This is where the abuser may deny, or they may minimize, or they may end up blaming their partner for their own abusive behavior. Here's an example of how it could play out. Let's pretend that I'm the abuser, and I come home from work and I expect supper to be on the table at 5 o'clock and it's not. I get upset with my partner, I yell, I actually just get into a rage, I shove my partner down the steps, they hurt themselves terribly. Now, let's go back to how this might play out. As the abuser, I might deny my behavior, I might minimize it, or I might turn the tables and blame my partner for my abusive behavior. Here's how it might sound. If I'm denying my behavior, I might say to my partner, you know, I was really upset that supper wasn't on the table at 5 o'clock, but you know, I didn't even touch you. You're making all that up. You're so crazy. You keep making up all this stuff. And it's just not true. I didn't even touch you. You just lost your balance. You fell down the steps and you hurt yourself. It's all your fault. Or I might minimize my behavior. I might say to my partner, you know, yes, I was upset that supper wasn't on the table at 5 o'clock, but you know, I barely tapped your shoulder and you're such a klutz. I'll degrade my partner at the same time. You're such a klutz, you lost your balance, you fell down the steps. It's really nothing that I did. Or third, and listen to this carefully because I'm turning the tables on my partner and blaming them for my abusive behavior. It might sound like this, where I say to my partner, you know, if you had just had supper on the table at 5 o'clock, then I wouldn't have gotten upset. I wouldn't have, you know, been yelling at you. I wouldn't have shoved you. You wouldn't have fallen down the steps and hurt yourself. It's all your fault. That's crazy-making. That's one big aspect of crazy-making. Now, here's a few more ways that this can play out. The abuser may also try to bait or provoke, harass, stir the pot, whatever you might want to call it, do anything they can to irritate their partner. The abuser might also minimize or totally invalidate their partner. This includes a constant twisting of the truth that happens with crazy-making, again, day in and day out, with trivial things as well as bigger issues. And here's the more crazy-making part that then results. If the partner reacts, the abuser may then accuse the partner of being unhinged or totally emotional, or again, the crazy one causing all the problems. The abuser turns the tables and blames the partner for the abusers, for their abusive behavior. So another way that it can play out, the abuser may accuse the partner of behaviors that they have not even considered. The abuser also continually twists the partner's emotions, the partner's experiences. They may continually turn their words around, causing the partner to question their reality. If the partner buys into all this, it can break the partner down, especially when it's happening day in and day out. Partners get exhausted by all this. And whether it be, again, just trivial things or even bigger issues, they no longer trust their own perspective. And as a result, the partners are even more vulnerable to further abuse. So it becomes a cycle of abuse as well. As a result, the partner loses all sense of what's happening. They become confused, anxious, and even more isolated. Furthermore, the abuser keeps changing the rules on them. And they again accuse the partner of being the crazy one, causing all the problems. I saw this in a case that played out, not one of my patients, but someone else's, in which a woman was sent to the psych ward by her abusive husband because he continually called her, said that she was the crazy one causing all the problems. And he said it so much that she began to believe it. Now, I've observed some interesting things when I used to go to the battered women's shelter. I noticed that when women victims first arrived, they often appeared so confused. Their minds were blurry, it seemed. They were trying to figure things out. When they first arrived, they no longer trusted their gut, it seemed. They didn't trust their instincts at all. It seemed also like the light was just gone from their eyes. Now, once these survivors had time and space to heal, I saw them just beginning to see the reality of what they had been living through. They began to trust their gut again. They began to trust themselves again. And it seemed that light came back to their eyes. I wonder if you've had some examples of crazy-making behaviors that have played out in any relationships that you've been in, past or present. And if so, it would be great to hear your examples, and just add a comment into the comments section of this post. That would be awesome to hear and to learn from. And if you do, as always, please do not use any names or identifiers. My next post will focus on the abuse behavior, sexual abuse, sexual coercion, and birth control sabotage. So thank you for hanging in there with this really big post today focused on crazy-making behaviors, also called gaslighting. It's a big one. It's a big one that takes a little time to process and wrap your brain around. If you have any questions, you can also add those to the comments section of the post. I'd be happy to do my best to answer whatever questions you might have. Thanks so much. Take care and stay safe. I look forward to seeing you on the next post.